Right, kom ons merk gou vinnig. Daar is al at exercise 18. Nee, juffrou, net 2 sekondes. Is by juffrou Hanekom. By juffrou Hanekom. Okay, bepaal die vergelyking van die volgende eksponensiële funksies. So we start with the general equation of y is equal to a to the power of x plus q. Toe het ons gesê stap 1, jy gaan vul in die asymptoot, né? But in this case, it didn't move up or down, so the x-axis itself is my asymptote. So that's going to be plus 0. Toe maar sy sal nou weer terugkom. Okay, then step 2 was substitute in that point, which was given on the graph of 2 and 16. So as ek dit gaan instel, gaan jy sien dat A is dan 4. Which means that, en as jy nou hier geskryf het, x is gelyk aan, of excuse, a is gelyk aan 4 to die mag x, is dit ook nog steeds reg, né? Okay, same thing at B. Quickly mark there. Is daar enige vragies? Is julle alright? Okay, julle oukies wat nou net ingekom het, quickly mark. A and B, please. Shh. Right, hands up, we're still copying. Can I skip? Okay. Goed, daar is C en D. At C, we actually have an asymptote. That graph moved down 1 unit, so that's why my Q value is going to be minus 1. En dan is het selfde stappe van daar af, stel die punt in, né? By D.
Instead of saying gx, if you just say g, because the...
You mean near at the end?
No, oh yeah, that part there.
The fx. What did you have here? Just g.
No, I just have f, because the...
Okay, but they on the sketch, they just put a f, but it must be fx. Right? It's either fx or y. Okay. Okay. Julle reg? Right. Kyk gou as jy tot hier gekom het, nê? A tot die mag minus 2 is gelyk aan 16. Now that, because the exponent is a negative, we write it in the form of a fraction. Nê? 1 op a kwadraat. En nou, jy sal sien ek skryf elkeen van hierdie stappies uit. Jy kon maar direk geskiep het hiernatoe, if you were comfortable with it. Okay, but basically what I did is, this is 1 divided by a to the power of 2. So wat ek doen is ek vat daai gedeel deur a to die mag 2 oor, dan raak dit mos maal a to die mag 2. So that's how I got there. Then I want to get rid of that 16 times, so I take it over and it becomes divided by 16. So dis hoe ek kom by 1 op 16. Nee. En nou daai stap het ek geskryf nie, but how do we get rid of that square? We basically take square root of the 1 over 16 and this will come by a quart. You guys fine with that? Please, just for safety, whenever we have a fraction at our A value, sit dit asseblief my in hakkies, ek het dit gister gesê ook, en dan sê jy tot die mag x. Okay, want party van julle, hoe julle dit skryf, dan lyk dit of daai tot die mag x net tel vir die 1 en nie vir die 4 ook nie. Alright, kan ek skip? Enige vrae? Hierdie was redelik baie soos die hyperbool eintlik, nee, was maklik net instel eintlik. Right, there is E. gou so lank een en dan stuur jy net agtertoe. Dankie. Okay, enige vrae by E? Does anyone want me to go through the whole thing again? Okay. Ek gaan nou praat oor daai memo wat nou weer afgestuur word. Can I skip? Okay, so at F, first things first, we saw that there was an asymptote. It moved down 2 units, so that's where the -2 comes from. Dan gaan stel ek my punt in, né? Goed, nou as ek dit gaan instel het, gaan jy kom by A to die mag -3 is gelyk aan 27. So because that exponent was a negative, we write it in the form of a fraction. Dan het jy daai A to die mag 3 oorgevat en gesê maal, dis hoe ek kom tot by die 27 A to die mag 3 is gelyk aan 1. Then we take the 27 over, so it becomes a divide, which means that A will be a third. Remember to put that third in brackets and then to the power of x and -2. Okay, enige vrae? Might pass, okay. So, nou wil ek gou vinnig net met jou deurgaan refleksies. Right in the beginning, I can't remember whether it was with hyperbola or whether it was straight line, but we spoke about reflection, né? En ek wil net gou daardeur hardloop en dan hierdie bladsy. I gave you guys a mixed exercise. Dit was 2 dae terug, né? Nie 2 dae terug, Vrydag, jou 2 dae skool terug, né? On Friday, I handed out, or you were supposed to take a page like this. If you don't have, come and get, né? En dan het jy ook gevat 'n ou toets. Nee. It doesn't matter. The old test doesn't have to be here. But what I want to say is the memo that you guys got now. Okay? Die memo wat jy nou net gekry het is die memo van daai toets. So that is if you want to work it out at home. Tomorrow, on your off day, I am going to give you, so you're not getting homework, nee? But tomorrow's video is going to be on this page. Okay, die verduideliking daarvan. En dan die verduideliking, ek gaan vir jou 'n tweede videoetjie ook post oor daai, onthou julle die reguit lyn bladsy? Wat julle nie van, julle het gesê julle het nie gehou van hom en ons het hom nou nog nie teruggekom na hom toe nie. Yes, julle aan die begin. Right, so those 2 videos I will be posting tomorrow morning very early. Dan, die toets. Dit is jou eerste toets oor al hierdie grafieke, né? So we are going to keep it as simple as possible. You will see that as soon as we get, luister gou klaar, as soon as we get to these mixed exercises, it starts to get a bit more complicated. So we're being very nice. Die ergste wat ons om vir jou gaan mix is 'n parabool en 'n reguit lyn. Okay? So those were the ones that we did right in the beginning, né? En ons gaan nou so 'n voorbeeld ook gou doen. Okay. So dis die ergste wat ek vir jou gaan meng. So jy kan weet, ek gaan nie vir jou 'n hiperbool. I'm not going to mix a hyperbola with anyone. I'm not going to mix exponential graph with any other graph. Okay? You must be able to draw each one of these graphs. Nommer 1. Jy moet vir my die vergelyking kan kry van elkeen van daai grafieke. So, opposites, né? First things first, you must be able to draw it if I give you the equation. Secondly, for every single graph, if I give you the picture, you must be able to give me the equation. Okay. As jy dit kan doen, is jy klaar well away. Alright? Good. So, let's quickly just look at reflections. So the graphs that we've done so far is the straight line. En hierdie moet jy vir my leer, né? Jy moet jou algemene formule van elkeen van hulle ken. Onthou, dis die basies. Okay? This is not so much understanding, dit is leer. A is gelyk aan mx plus c. Then we did parabola, which was y is equal to 8x to the power of 2. So hoe ek het onthou, is sodra jy daai kwadraat sien, dan moet jy weet, parabool. Nee? Then hyperbola, hyperbool, Hoe ek hom onthou is, sodra ek 'n breek sien, as soon as I see a fraction, and the denominator, die noemer daaronder is x, dan sit die hiperbool. Nee? Okay, en dan die laaste grafiek wat ons gedoen het, was exponentieel. So as soon as you see an exponent, which is x, then exponential graph. Okay, goed, now, reflection. So iemand wat hier nog skryf? Okay. Huh? Hulle het nog ons 'n paar lekker songs gespeel. Hanna op wie skryf nog? Dat jy reg is vir die toets. Donderdag. Eerste periode. Jy kan nie laat wees nie. Okay, so as daar donderdag register is, dan sit ek in register al in daai klas waar ons skryf, as jy 'n vragie het. Okay? Right, can I skip? Right. Then, reflection. Luister gou baie mooi. Refleksies. Nou, jy kan reflecteer in die x-as and you can reflect in the y-axis. Now, if we reflect in the y-axis, nou dis wil ek gou hier vir jou op die bord wys, want dit is nou nogal makliker om so te wys. Kyk, want daar is my y-as en hier is my x-as. Okay, so reflect, the word reflect makes me think of a mirror, nee? So you're mirroring, weer is die woord nie, jy weerspieël eintlik, net weer aan die ander kant van daai as. So as ek praat van reflecteer in die y-as, then the y-axis is my mirror. So whatever was on that side, I am going to reflect on this side. Jy flip hom oor die y-as. You guys get what I mean?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, now, simple example, if I had a point over here, then it would be positive x value, positive y value. Then, right? Now flip half of my guy dingetjie hiernatoe. What's going to happen?
Negative x.
The x value is going to become negative x, but the y value will still be the same. Nee. So maak dit vir jou sin. Dis eintlik lekker maklik om te onthou. If I reflect in the y-axis, y stays the same. So die as waarin jy reflekteer, sy waarde bly dieselfde. Because I'm reflecting in the y-axis, the x sign must change. So if we do it the other way around, if my x was a negative, it will now become a positive. Nee, so dis hoekom ek nie vir jou sê daar, hy raak negatief nie. It's just, it must become the opposite of what the sign was. So the way that we write it is x, y, and then a little arrow to show you that we're reflecting, and then it becomes minus x, and y stays the same. Maybe I must make that y in a different color. Ach, the x minus. Daar sê. Is julle reg? Okay, so, as ek reflecteer in die x-as, if I reflect in the x-axis, then my x-axis is going to be the one that we flip around. So as dit die bo was, dan gaan hy onder. As hy onder was, dan flip hy boontoe. Do you guys get that? Okay, so let's use that same example again. If I flip that coordinate to the bottom part, what's going to happen?
Y is going to change.
The x bly dieselfde, but now my y value will be negative. Hey, is jy alright met dit? Niks snaaks nie, nee. Okay, so kom ons skryf gou-gou daar. So that will be from x, y, I reflect, okay, because it's in the x-axis that we're reflecting, x will stay the same, but the y value will become negative in this case, or just the y sign of y will change. Okay, good. So that's the basic rule. Now let's look at it in an equation. Kom ons kyk gou-gou. Kan ek skip? Ja, maar die juffrou is by die huis, né? Sy isolate. Okay, heads up is still copying. Niemand. Okay, good. So, as ek met ander woorde vir jou dit sou gee. A is gelyk aan, dis nou voorbeeld 1, hè? Y is equal to 2 to the power of x. It doesn't matter what type of graph this is. And I'm asking you to reflect in the y-axis. And the a-as. Okay. Because we're reflecting in the y-axis, the y will stay the same. But what's going to happen? The x is going to become negative x. En dis dit. Is julle by? Okay, let's look at another example. Okay, kom ek gee vir jou minus a is gelyk aan 2 tot die mag x. Nee, ek jok. Reflecteer in die... huh? Okay, ons gebruik nog steeds, a is gelyk aan 2 tot die mag x, maar nou sê ons reflecteer in die x-as. Now we're reflecting that same graph in the x-axis. So because we're reflecting in the x-axis, the x value is going to stay the same, right? But what's going to change? The y value. So it must be minus y. Nee, is julle nog by so ver? Maar, have you, throughout this whole chapter, ever seen minus y is equal to something? No. So ek mag dit nie so los nie. Jy moet hom gaan verander sodat hy weer is, a is gelyk aan x, nee. So how do I get rid of that negative? Okay, so dan gaan dit wees, positive y is equal to minus 2 to the power of positive x. Moet ek verduidelik hoekom hy so lyk? Is dit waar jy twyfel? Okay, sê maar jou sin klaar. Juffrou kan juffrou? Is die res van julle okay? Kom geweer. As jy hom omdraai, bedoel jy daai minus? O, jy meen so. Ja, jy kan dit ook doen. Ja, dan vat jy jou y na daai kant toe en jou x na die kant toe. En dan, ja. Dis ook dieselfde, né? Okay. You guys all good? Okay. Kom ons kom ek gee vir julle aan enetjie. And then you guys try. Kan ek skip? Okay. Ek gee vir jou, dis nou voorbeeld 3. A is gelyk aan 3 op x plus 5. And I'm asking you to reflect in the y-axis. Probeer gou-gou. No, there's no exponent, so it doesn't matter. Okay, kan ek maar gou doen? Voorbeeld 3. So because we're reflecting in the y-axis, the only thing that's going to change is the x value. So it's going to be y is equal to 3 over, en dan het ek minus x. And the plus 5 stays the same. Is julle reg daar? Okay, now at example 4, there's a bit of a catch. So over here, I'm asking you to reflect in the x-axis. Reflecteer in die x-as, okay? So omdat ek reflecteer in die x-as, wat gaan verander? My y-waarde. So that's going to become minus y is equal to 3 over x plus 5. Maar, we just said we're not allowed to have minus y. Ek wil hê y is gelyk aan iets. Nee. So, that minus, because there was more than one thing on the right-hand side of my equation, daai minus gaan elkeen van hulle gaan verander. So, jy hoef hierdie stappie te skryf nie, maar ek gaan hom nou vir jou skryf net om te verduidelik dat jy dit kan insien vir die toekoms. So, I see it as this, minus, and then 3 over x plus 5, which means that your final equation would be a negative 3 over x en minus 5. Dis gewoonlik waar julle strooi aanvang. You guys forget about that negative at the 5 as well. Okay, are you good? Right. Ek gaan vir jou nog enetjie gou gee, ons gaan gou reguit lyn probeer en as ons klaar met refleksies, nou is dit net hersien. Okay, hands up, we're still copying? Niemand? Okay. Laaste een. Okay, ek gee vir jou, y is gelyk aan 2x plus 5. Reflect in die x-axis. Reflecteer in die x-as. Wat gaan hy wees? Nee man, jy skryf. So nice songs. Wat se so language is daai? Huh? Okay. Kan ek maar gou sê? Jy reflecteer in die x-as, so what's going to change? The y value is going to change. Okay, but as we said, it's not allowed to leave it like that. So dis dieselfde as minus. En dan gaan ek dit nou met daai hele vergelyking moet gaan inmaal. So my final answer would be minus 2x minus 5. Het jy hom so? Okay, good. No. Ek kan nie onthou dat ons dit gehad het nie, want ek wil nou saam met julle deur 'n hersieningsoefeningkie gaan werk, né? Kyk gou-gou. Hier. Okay, watter grafiek? Parabool, dankie. Parabola. Nie 'n parabola soos ek daai tyd gesê het nie. Okay, nou, kyk gou-gou hier. Wat as ek vir jou vra, if I were to ask you, let's make this f. Okay, so I'm saying, where would, nee, fx be less than and equal to 0. Okay, nou, soos hy sê, wat staan daar? the fx is the same as a. That's hy. So daar staan eintlik, waar is a kleiner en gelyk aan 0? So if y is less than or equal to 0, it means where's your y values negative? Nee? Okay, wag, ons gaan nou daar kom. Does everyone get that part? So eintlik sê ek vir jou, where is the y values negative? Ek weet. Op die, as jy die video ook luister, tik, 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 tik. Okay, so waar is my a waardes negatief? Over here, x values are positive. So hy is uit en daar is uit. Nee. So I am talking about this bottom part. Does that make sense to you guys? Okay. So what would my x values there be? So x is actually between 3 and minus 3. Nee, maar nou wat skryf ek my tekens hier? X moet wees groter as en hy mag ook gelyk wees, nee? Because that's an equal sign as well. Do you guys get that? Greater than and equal to minus 3 and x must be less than and equal to 3. Is julle by? Okay, nou wil ek gou vir nee. Oh, shorts. Ja. The question, hulle gaan vir jou vra, jy gaan sien in hierdie mixed exercise, nee? They will say at 3.1, it says, for which values of x will fx be equal to gx? Okay, nou daai is maklik, want fx and gx is two different equations and where they're equal to each other. Meaning, where's that point where they intercept? Ons het mos al daaroor gepraat, nee? Okay, but at 3.1.2, they're asking, where's fx greater than 0? Nou, die vraag sê oorspronklik, vir watter waardes van x? So, you first determine which part of the graph we're talking about. So, we just said we're actually talking about this bottom part. Nee. So, what would the x values there be? Hy begin by minus 3 en hy kan wees minus 2, minus 1, 0, 1, 2 en 3. So, it can be anything between minus 3 and positive 3. Is julle nou by? En hoe ek hom ook onthou is, because that is one thing. If I were to put my finger down on that graph over here, I would be able to slide my finger over the whole graph up until where we're supposed to end. Nee. Nou dan, omdat dit aan 1 is, skryf ek hom ook aan 1. Okay. I want to do the opposite now as well, then you might see it a bit better. So hold on before you flip. So if I were to ask you, where would fx, so ons praat nog steeds van die parabool, waar is hy groter as 0? Okay, so meaning I'm asking where is the y values greater than 0? So where is the y values positive? Nee, nou waar's dit? Hier is my a-waardes positief en there my y values are positive. Do you guys agree? It must be on that graph. So at those two separate arms, en sien jy dis twee aparte armpies? Nee, so it's going to be two separate things. So how do I write it over here? Remember this arm goes up and up and up and up and up and up and up. Ek weet nie waar hy stop nie. So it can go from negative 3 to minus 4, minus 5, minus 6, minus 7, minus 8. Ek weet nie waar hy gaan stop nie. So wat noem ek daai? X moet wees kleiner as minus 3. Does that make sense? Because if x is less than minus 3, it goes from here towards the left. Jy gaan kyk na, wag, kom ek skryf net gou hierdie stukkie ook, hier gaan x moet wees groter as 3, né? So, ag, ja, x moet wees groter as
Then what is this question?
3. In the mixed exercise, at 3.1.1 and 3.1.2. Huh? Nee, onthou, hierdie tipe vraag is 1 of 2 punte. No, but it's actually, listen, it's very simple if you just understand it. Let's go back to, kom ons kyk gou weer. Hulle vra vir jou, for which values of x? For which values of x? Maar met ander woorde, jou antwoord moet wees, x is iets. Nee? Okay, maar nou, they're saying for which values of x will fx be less than and equal to 0. Nou, fx is mos eintlik y. So hulle vra vir jou, waar's y kleiner as 0? In other words, waar's y negatief? And where on this graph would I have negative y values?
Then I would have just written 5 minus 5.
Ja, maar hy sê net daar nie. Jy's reg, y is hierso 'n negatiewe waarde. But if I were to plot the point over here, julle weet ek kan nie dit doen nie. Ja. So hierso is ook mos 'n negatiewe y waarde. And it's also a negative y value. Negative y value, negative y value, negative y value. En dan van daar af, now it's positive, 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 positive. Nee. En hier, minus, let's say y is minus 4, y is minus 3, minus 2, minus 1. Nou is y 0. So op hierdie onderste deel van my grafiek, oral daar, the y value at those coordinates will always be negative. Where is y value is negative? Daai stukkie gaan hy negatief wees. Does that make sense? Okay, sien julle dit in dat dit daai onderste deel moet wees and not the top arms. Nee. Okay, so ons breek ons grafiek nou eintlik in die helfte.
Then even when I count, I can't wait to count.
No.
What's your answer look like then?
What, George? Your answer must be,
Because my answer is
to indicate this bottom part, I must say that it goes from minus 3 up until 3.
Now, ma'am, can I write that in words?
No, write it in math. Skryf hom daar, wiskunde. Kyk gou hier. As jy regtig nie kan onthou nie, dan skryf jy vir my, it goes from minus 3 up till.
Ma'am, I was not remember.
Ek gaan nie so later in die jare vandag kan uitvat nie, maar kyk gou hierso, né? As ek dit so vir jou skryf. Because you would be able to do it if it's separate. So jy weet, kyk daar, x moet wees kleiner as 3. Nee? X must be less than 3 because ons gaan dit sien hierso. There's the 3 and here's the minus 3. But if I were to leave it like that, nee, dan beteken dit van daar af alles hier naartoe.
Oh, okay.
And it can't be true. It can only go from there up till here. So dan, kyk nou gou as ek vir hierdie stukkie toemaak, x must be greater than minus 3.
I see, ma'am.
So dan gaan dit van hier af.
Oh, ma'am, dan apa semua dah dekat.
Maak dit nou vir julle sin?
Yes, ma'am.
Is julle reg?
I will start in more.
Okay. Good.
Ons kan dan op wat
Maak dit dan vir my serieus. Okay, kyk gou hier. So kom ons kyk vir die ander deeltjie. If okay, so nou kom ons sê ons wil hê die enetjie, né? Fx must be greater than 0. Met ander woorde, waar's my y-waardes positief? Nou y is mos net positief aan daai kant van die grafiek, né? So as ek hierdie toemaak, wat steek uit by daai prentjie? Dit steek uit?
Yes.
En dit steek uit. Nee. You guys with me? Okay. So where would the y values be positive? by daai tweetjies. Right? Nou hoe skryf ons dit? To indicate that I'm going to say x moet hy wees kleiner as 0, kleiner as 3 of moet hy wees groter as 3? Kyk gou, hy gaan soontoe, né? So x moet wees groter as 3. Nou sê maar daar was 'n is gelykheid, dan sou hier ook wees is gelykheid.
So you just make sure your signs are right to chat.
Look like, yes, met daai streepie. Ja. Okay, hoe gaan ek sê hierdie? Moet ek sê x moet wees groter as of moet x wees kleiner as? Okay, so x moet wees kleiner as minus 3. Ja, nou connect hulle nie. So hoe ek dit onthou, hier's 2 aparte goedjies, dus 2 aparte goed wat ek skryf. By daai ene was dit aan 1, so jy skryf hom aan 1. Nou maak dit sin? Ja, so hulle gee vir jou dit. Nee? Hulle gee vir die volle prentjie. En wat jy dan net doen is sê, okay, do I want my y values to be positive or negative? Or to come positive, so cover the bottom part. So that is what I want. Okay. Ag, ek is tog so lief vir julle, né? Ek doen enigiets vir julle. Okay. Nee. Ek weet jy, ons het nog nie môre se goed gekry nie. Ja, nou sien, ons het nog nie môre se goed gekry nie. Wat is die kans ons dit al donderdag sien? Okay. So, to revise. You guys are going to do this for homework? En dan gaan ek vir julle 'n videoetjie maak? Ja? Hæ? Klaar gedoen. Well done. Okay. So, ek wil gou saam sommer 'n hersieningsoefening doen on page 175. Kyk gou daar, bladsy 175. Ja, daar sit, ja. Nee, ons gaan dit nou sommer gou saam doen. Ja, maar dis 3 minute wat ons kan doen. Ja. Kyk gou. By vraag 1 sê hulle vir jou, in die diagram hieronder word die grafieke van F en G gegee. Die grafieke sny mekaar by 1, waar x1 is en y is 3. Nee. Kan ek gou daar ietsie sê? Kyk gou op daai prentjie, né? Daar waar die 2 grafieke mekaar sny. Hulle sê vir my die koördinaat is 1 en 3. So as ek, soos by jou huiswerk, by vraag 3.1.1, vir jou vra, waar sal fx gelyk wees aan gx? What am I actually asking you? Where do they touch? And they touch, so your answer would be at 1 and 3. Ek gebruik eers woorde nie, I use that. Kyk, soms gee hulle dit vir jou, né? Ander kere gee hulle vir die koördinate en die asymptote en dan moet jy eers die vergelyking gaan kry. So it's either, né?